Imagine a world where the veil of history is suddenly lifted, revealing a first-hand account of one of the most pivotal moments in human history. What if I told you that Pontius Pilate, the man who presided over the trial of Jesus Christ, left behind a letter detailing not only the events surrounding the crucifixion, but also providing a vivid description of Jesus himself? This extraordinary document, purportedly written by Pilate to the Roman Emperor Tiberius, has sparked intense debate and fascination among scholars, historians, and believers alike. It offers a unique perspective on the life, death, and even the resurrection of Jesus Christ, coming from the very man who played a crucial role in these events. But what exactly does this letter say? How does Pilate describe Jesus? And perhaps most intriguingly, what does he report about the resurrection? In this exploration, we'll delve into the contents of this remarkable letter, examining its claims, its historical context, and its potential implications for our understanding of early Christianity. As we embark on this journey, I invite you to approach this information with an open mind, ready to consider the possibility that this letter might offer us a glimpse into a moment that changed the course of human history. The letter begins with Pilate's formal greeting to Emperor Tiberius, setting the stage for the extraordinary account that follows. "There has appeared in these our days," Pilate writes, "a man of great virtue named Jesus Christ, who is yet living among us, and of the Gentiles is accepted as a prophet of truth, but his own disciples call him the Son of God." Pilate then launches into a remarkably detailed description of Jesus' physical appearance, painting a picture that goes beyond what we find in the Gospels. He describes Jesus as a man of stature somewhat tall and comely, with a very reverend countenance, such as the beholders may both love and fear. The letter goes on to describe Jesus' hair as the color of a chestnut, full ripe, plain to his ears, whence downward it is more orient and curling and wavering about his shoulders. The level of detail is striking. Pilate notes a seam or partition of his hair after the manner of the Nazarites, and describes Jesus' forehead as plain and very delicate. He speaks of Jesus' face as being without spot or wrinkle, beautified with a lovely red, and his nose and mouth as so formed as nothing can be reprehended. But it's not just Jesus' physical appearance that Pilate describes. He also comments on Jesus' demeanor and character, noting his innocent and mature look, his gray, clear, and quick eyes, and his manner of speaking as very temperate, modest, and wise. Intriguingly, Pilate writes, "It cannot be remembered that any have seen him laugh, but many have seen him weep." The letter then shifts to recount the events leading up to Jesus' crucifixion. Pilate describes how the chief priests, moved with envy, brought Jesus to him with accusations. He recounts his interrogation of Jesus, during which Jesus reportedly said, "I am a king, but my kingdom is not of this world." Pilate's account of the crucifixion itself is particularly dramatic. He writes of a great darkness that fell over the world at the hour of the crucifixion, with the sun darkening at midday and stars appearing. He even claims that the dead that lay in their graves rose and appeared unto many. The letter also touches on the political situation in Jerusalem at the time. Pilate describes the city as exceptionally difficult to govern, with a populace prone to insurrection. He mentions having only a single centurion and a handful of soldiers at his disposal, highlighting the precarious nature of Roman control in the region. Pilate's words paint a picture of a man caught between his own judgment and the political realities of his position. He speaks of extending protection to Jesus, unknown perhaps to himself, allowing him freedom to speak, assemble, and choose disciples. Yet, he also describes the mounting pressure from the rich and powerful Jews who were provoked by Jesus' teachings. In a particularly poignant passage, Pilate recalls Jesus' words about rendering unto Caesar what is Caesar's and unto God what is God's, noting that it was on account of the wisdom of this saying that he granted Jesus so much liberty. The letter concludes with Pilate's decision to crucify Jesus, presented as a reluctant choice made to maintain peace in the city. His words suggest a man haunted by his decision, washing his hands of the blood of this just person, the like of whom hath never been before. Through this detailed account, Pilate's letter provides a unique perspective on one of history's most significant events, offering details and insights that go beyond the biblical narrative and raising intriguing questions about the historical Jesus and the political climate in which he lived and died. As we delve deeper into the analysis of Pilate's letter, we must approach it with a critical eye, considering its authenticity, historical context, and potential implications. The letter, if genuine, would represent an extraordinary piece of historical evidence. However, its provenance and authenticity have been subjects of intense debate among scholars and historians. One of the most striking aspects of the letter is its detailed description of Jesus' physical appearance. This level of detail is notably absent from the canonical Gospels, which focus more on Jesus' teachings and actions than his looks. The letter's vivid portrayal of Jesus with golden-colored hair and beard and a celestial aspect raises questions about its authenticity. Was this description added by later scribes, perhaps influenced by European artistic depictions of Jesus? Or could it reflect a genuine first-hand account of Jesus' appearance? When comparing the letter to other historical sources, we find both consistencies and discrepancies. The letter's portrayal of Pilate as reluctant to condemn Jesus aligns with the Gospel accounts. However, the dramatic events described during the crucifixion, such as the rising of the dead, are not corroborated by other contemporary Roman or Jewish sources. The historical significance of this letter, if authentic, cannot be overstated. It would provide independent Roman confirmation of Jesus' existence, crucifixion, and the belief in his resurrection among his followers. It would offer insights into the political climate of Jerusalem under Roman rule and shed light on Pilate's perspective on the events that have shaped Western civilization. However, the letter has been a subject of controversy since it first came to light. Many scholars consider it to be a later creation, possibly dating from the 4th century or later. They point to anachronisms in language and inconsistencies with known historical facts. Others argue that while the current version may be a later copy or translation, it could be based on an authentic original. The debate surrounding the letter touches on broader issues in historical and religious studies. It raises questions about the nature of historical evidence, the development of early Christian traditions, and the complex relationship between faith and historical inquiry. Critics of the letter's authenticity argue that its content seems too convenient, aligning too closely with Christian theology to be a genuine Roman document. They suggest it may have been created to provide additional evidence for Christian claims about Jesus at a time when the Church was solidifying its doctrines and combating heresies. Supporters, on the other hand, argue that the letter's content is plausible, given what we know about Roman governance and the political situation in Judea. They point out that even if the current version is a later copy, it could preserve genuine historical information. Regardless of its authenticity, the letter has had a significant impact on popular perceptions of Jesus and the events surrounding his crucifixion. It has inspired artistic depictions, influenced religious discussions, and continues to fascinate those interested in the historical Jesus. As we consider this letter, we must remember that historical inquiry often deals with fragmentary and contested evidence. While we may never be able to definitively prove or disprove the authenticity of Pilate's letter, its study offers valuable insights into the ongoing dialogue between faith, history, and the search for understanding of our past. While the authenticity of Pilate's letter remains a subject of debate, archaeological evidence has provided tangible proof of Pontius Pilate's existence and role in Judea. The most significant piece of this evidence is the Pilate stone, an ancient artifact discovered near Caesarea Maritima in Israel in 1961. The Pilate stone is a limestone block bearing a Latin inscription that explicitly mentions Pontius Pilate. Discovered during excavations of an ancient theater, the stone was found repurposed as part of a staircase, likely in a later renovation of the site. The fact that it was reused in this manner lends credibility to its authenticity, as it's unlikely that a forger would create such an inscription only to have it hidden in a staircase. The inscription on the stone, although partially damaged, has been reconstructed by archaeologists to read, Est Tiberium Pontius Pilatus Prefectus Judaeae. This translates to the divine Augusti, this Tiberium Pontius Pilate, prefect of Judea, dedicated. This inscription is significant for several reasons. Firstly, it provides independent archaeological evidence for the existence of Pontius Pilate, corroborating the accounts found in the New Testament and other historical sources. Secondly, it confirms Pilate's title as Prefect of Judea, which aligns with the role ascribed to him in biblical accounts. The reference to Tiberium likely indicates a building or monument dedicated to the Emperor Tiberius, under whose reign Pilate governed Judea. This aligns with the common practice of Roman officials erecting monuments to honor the emperor, often to curry favor or demonstrate loyalty. The discovery site, Caesarea Maritima, is also significant. This city was the Roman administrative capital of Judea during Pilate's tenure, making it a logical location for such an inscription. The stone's presence here supports historical accounts of Pilate's governance in the region. When we consider the Pilate stone in relation to the purported letter to Tiberius, we find both connections and contrasts. The stone confirms Pilate's historical existence and his role as prefect, lending some credence to the basic premise of the letter. However, the formal, dedicatory nature of the stone's inscription stands in stark contrast to the personal, detailed account found in the letter. The Pilate stone serves as a reminder of the complex interplay between textual sources, archaeological evidence, and historical interpretation. While it doesn't directly prove or disprove the authenticity of Pilate's letter, it does provide a solid historical anchor point for discussions about Pilate and his role in the events described in both biblical and extra-biblical sources. Moreover, the stone's discovery illustrates the potential for archaeological findings to shed new light on historical figures and events. It reminds us that while documents like Pilate's letter may be subject to debate, tangible artifacts can provide concrete evidence that helps us piece together the historical record. In the context of our examination of Pilate's letter, the Pilate stone serves as a valuable counterpoint. It encourages us to approach historical claims with a balance of openness and skepticism, always seeking corroborating evidence and considering multiple sources in our quest to understand the past. As we conclude our exploration of Pilate's letter and the associated archaeological evidence, we find ourselves at a fascinating intersection of history, faith, and scholarship. The purported letter from Pontius Pilate to Emperor Tiberius, if authentic, would provide an extraordinary first-hand account of Jesus Christ and the events surrounding his crucifixion. However, its contested nature reminds us of the complexities involved in historical research, especially concerning events of such profound religious and cultural significance. The letter's detailed description of Jesus, including physical attributes not mentioned in the Gospels, offers a tantalizing glimpse of what a Roman official's perspective on Jesus might have been. It presents Jesus as a figure of remarkable presence and wisdom, whose teachings and actions left a deep impression even on those outside his immediate circle of followers. The account of the crucifixion and its aftermath, including reports of darkness and resurrection, aligns with Christian traditions while adding details that go beyond the biblical narrative. On the other hand, the Pilate stone provides uncontested archaeological evidence of Pontius Pilate's existence and his role as prefect of Judea. This tangible artifact grounds our historical understanding, confirming key details about the political landscape in which the events of Jesus' life and death unfolded. It serves as a reminder that beyond the realms of faith and tradition, there exists a historical reality that we can access through careful study and archaeological discovery. When we consider these pieces of evidence together, the controversial letter and the indisputable stone, we are reminded of the multifaceted nature of historical inquiry. The letter, with its rich detail and dramatic account, captures the imagination and aligns with many Christian traditions. The stone, in its stark simplicity, provides a factual anchor point for our understanding of the period. The study of these artifacts raises important questions for both historical research and religious studies. How do we balance textual evidence, which may be subject to bias or later alteration, with archaeological findings? How do we interpret historical evidence that has significant implications for matters of faith? These questions have no easy answers, but they drive ongoing scholarly debate and research. For those interested in the historical Jesus, This exploration underscores the importance of considering multiple sources and types of evidence. While the Gospels remain the primary source for information about Jesus' life and teachings, extra-biblical sources like Pilate's letter, if authentic, and archaeological evidence, like the Pilate stone, can provide valuable context and corroboration. Moreover, this study highlights the enduring fascination with the figure of Jesus and the events surrounding his death. 2,000 years after these events, we continue to seek a deeper understanding, examining every available piece of evidence to shed light on this pivotal moment in human history. As we move forward, it's important to approach such historical inquiries with both openness and critical thinking. We must be willing to consider new evidence and perspectives while also subjecting them to rigorous scrutiny. The debate surrounding Pilate's letter serves as a reminder that in the field of historical research, particularly when it intersects with matters of faith, conclusions are often provisional and subject to revision as new evidence comes to light. Ultimately, whether one approaches this topic from a perspective of faith, historical interest, or both, the study of artifacts like Pilate's letter and the Pilate stone enriches our understanding of the past. It challenges us to grapple with complex questions about the nature of evidence, the development of religious traditions, and the ways in which past events continue to shape our present world. As we conclude, we are left with a deepened appreciation for the complexities of historical research and the enduring impact of the events described. Whether viewed through the lens of faith or secular history, the story of Jesus and the role of Pontius Pilate continues to captivate and inspire, inviting further study and reflection. In our quest for understanding, we are reminded that the past is not a static entity, but a dynamic field of inquiry that continues to yield new insights and spark meaningful dialogue across the boundaries of time, culture, and belief. Thank you for joining us on this fascinating journey through history and faith. We've explored the intriguing letter attributed to Pontius Pilate and examined the archaeological evidence of the Pilate stone. But our exploration doesn't end here. It's just the beginning of a larger conversation. We want to hear your thoughts. What do you think about Pilate's letter? Do you find it credible, or do you have doubts? How does the archaeological evidence of the Pilate stone influence your perspective on these historical events? Your insights and opinions are valuable to us and can help foster a rich, thought-provoking discussion. So please, take a moment to leave your comments below. Share your views, ask questions, or even suggest topics for future videos. And if you've enjoyed this deep dive into history, why not join our community of history enthusiasts? Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell to stay updated on our latest videos. We regularly explore fascinating historical topics, uncover little-known facts, and examine evidence that sheds new light on the past. By subscribing, you'll be part of a community that values critical thinking, open dialogue, and the exciting quest for historical understanding. Together, we can continue to unravel the mysteries of the past and gain new perspectives on the events that have shaped our world. So don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, and join us on our next historical adventure. Until then, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep your love for history alive.